You know, if you've been following the GCV movement, you've probably heard a bunch of different titles thrown around. Ambassador, partner, envoy, and you might be thinking, okay, who's who here? It can get a little confusing, right? Well, today we're going to clear all of that up. We're going to break down the brilliant structure that makes this whole thing tick. Ready? Let's get into it. So yeah, ambassador, partner, or envoy. What's the deal? Look, these aren't just fancy job titles. They are three totally unique and absolutely vital roles. And understanding how they're different, well, that's the key. It's how you see that this community isn't just about getting big, it's built for real-world growth and making a serious impact. So let's really break down who does what.
All right, here's the game plan. First, we'll talk about the core leaders, the ambassadors. Then, we'll get into the collaborative partners who help everything expand. After that, the industry envoys who connect us to the business world. And finally, we'll see how it all clicks together and take a peek at what's next for the whole movement. Simple as that.
Okay, let's kick things off with the GCV ambassadors. Now, you can kind of think of these folks as the architects, the guardians of the whole foundation. They're the core leaders, the ones who make sure the entire movement not only grows, but grows strong and stays true to its original mission.
So, what does an ambassador actually do? Well, breaking it down, they kind of wear three main hats. First, they're educators, right? They share all the official GCV materials. Second, they're developers, helping to build out the ecosystem. And this last one is super important. They're protectors, guarding the community from any bad or misleading information. It's a huge, demanding role, for sure.
And let's be clear, this isn't a title you just get handed. No way, it is earned. And to make sure there's a super high standard of leadership all around the world, there are some serious requirements. Ambassadors have to follow the core educational stuff like the Pioneer's Handbook, they've got to live by a strict code of ethics, and, this is the big one, they must graduate from the GCV Leadership School. This is what guarantees you get that consistency and quality across the entire community.
All right, so we've got the ambassadors building that solid core. But how does the movement actually grow? How does it reach more and more people? Well, that's where our next role comes into play, the community collaborative partner. Think of them as flexible, independent allies who just amplify the whole mission.
The key word you got to remember here is independent. Seriously. Partners are awesome community leaders who totally support the GCV ecosystem, but they do it with a lot more freedom. They're allies, not employees, you know? And that's what creates this really diverse and super adaptable network.
And this is where you really see that flexibility in action. Partners, they run their own communities their way. They don't report to the global GCV core team. That formal training that's mandatory for ambassadors, for partners, it's optional. I mean, it's always encouraged, of course, but it's not a requirement.
Okay, let's just put these two side by side for a second so it's crystal clear. You've got ambassadors. They're fully integrated, under direct leadership, and have mandatory training. Then you've got partners. They're independent, it's a collaborative relationship, and that formal education is totally optional. See? Two very different paths, but they're both heading toward the same goal.
But, and this is a big but, with all that independence comes one absolutely crucial, non-negotiable rule. Partners have to open their doors to GCV ambassadors so they can come in and share the official education and activities. This is all about making sure everyone gets the right info and, just as importantly, it maintains a total zero-tolerance policy for any misleading stuff. All right, time for our third and final key role, the Industry Alliance Special Envoy. So let's recap. If ambassadors are building the foundation and partners are expanding the walls, then the envoys, well, they're building the bridge to the real world, the bridge to the economy. These are the business builders.
Yeah, an envoy's whole mission is basically economic. They are laser-focused on real, tangible business integration. We're talking about them setting up actual companies that use Pi and getting out there to convince other businesses to adopt it too. We mean everyone from your local corner store all the way up to huge global industries. Envoys are the people on the ground making this digital value real and, spendable.
Now, you might think with all this business talk that envoys are just lone wolves out there doing their own thing. Nope, not at all. While they do have flexibility, they operate under the GCV Industry Alliance International. And just like the ambassadors, they also have to graduate from leadership school and follow a super strict code of conduct. It's all about making sure their business activities always align with the core values of the movement.
So what's their playbook? How do they do it? It's pretty straightforward. Step 1. They build the industry alliance structure from the local level all the way up. Step 2, they get out there and network like crazy, forging connections with all kinds of industries. And step 3, they start implementing the practical use of Pi. They start small, with partial payments from like 5 to 50%, just to ease businesses into the ecosystem. It's a really smart step-by-step way to build actual, real-world value.
Okay, so let's pull back for a second. We've got the ambassadors building the community, we've got the partners expanding the network, and we've got the envoys building the businesses. 3 really different jobs, right? So the big question is, how do they all work together without stepping on each other's toes? The answer is pretty cool. It's all about a smart structure and a core belief in unity. And this next part is a really, really key point about the structure, so listen up. The Industry Alliance, the one led by the envoys, is not under the GCV community. It's an equal. They are parallel entities. Why does that matter? Well, it gets rid of a clunky top-down hierarchy. It lets both the business side and the community side grow powerfully together side by side, with each one reporting to its own international leadership. So what holds all this together? It really comes down to this. This is the glue. It doesn't matter what your role is, what your title is, or where you fit in the structure. There's one simple, powerful rule for everyone. You must respect each other, and you must support each other. That's it. That's the cultural foundation that makes this whole ecosystem work and thrive. So, okay, we've got this amazing structure in place for everyone inside the movement to work together. So, what's next? What's the next frontier? Well, the future is all about taking that same spirit of collaboration and expanding it outward.
And this is the long-term vision right here. The goal is to eventually open the door to partnerships with non-GCV communities all across the entire Pi network. It's a strategy that's all about inclusivity. Because let's face it, for the whole ecosystem to hit its full potential, all the different Pi communities eventually have to find a way to cooperate.
And really, it all comes down to this simple but super powerful formula. You take a strong community built by the ambassadors, you scale it through collaboration with partners, and you connect it all to industry using the envoys. See? Community plus collaboration plus industry equals real value. This isn't just some boring org chart. It's a living, breathing equation for creating real, sustainable value. It's a clear structure for a massive vision where every single role is essential and every single member has a critical part to play.